So, hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the Adventure Engine, which most people seem to have forgotten about. Yeah, remember this? Water Enchantress on release. I don't remember which thing it was. I think it was Water Enchantress herself. Like within like a day or two, they like emergency banned or not banned. They emergency limited like Water Enchantress or something. So we only had, I believe, one Water Enchantress for the longest time. Like after they banned Hulk, genuinely don't see what the issue was with Water Enchantress in Master Duel, but okay, I guess. We'll just never get to see what those formats would have been like with the adventure stuff as well, because this was mostly just used in Hulk Turbo decks, and then we have like Phantom Knight and stuff, but just fine in general. But what is the deck actually capable of doing? So, first off, now that it's at full power, it's pretty consistent now and it feels a little less terrible to play. So of course, if we were to be running the deck like this, for example, how many Garnets are we actually running? We have, well, pretty much just these two. The rest are all pretty okay to open with each other. Like if I open Illegal Knight plus Rite of Aramesir, I'm not mad about that. If I open Wandering Griffin Rider plus Water Enchantress, that's also fine. Rite of Aramesir plus Wandering Griffin Rider, all fine. So we could do, for example, activate Rite of Aramesir and then special summon Wandering Griffin Rider from hand, and then we would add Draco back, and then we would use Fateful to add, I guess, like a Legal Knight potentially. Or if you already have something, we could use it to add Water Enchantress. Assuming we're not even playing a Legal Knight, we have the option of add Water Enchantress, pitching the Draco back, and then we have special summoning Enchantress to use as a body for something. One such play we could do is to, well, in this case, we haven't normal summoned yet, so we could normal summon pretty much anything. Well, yeah, if you have the extra deck, I guess it's anything. And we can go and Fiendsmith combo from here technically, or just do whatever combo is relevant, like Crank Kids combo, for example, because we don't have to activate the normal summon effect. And there are just a good few random synergies just strewn about the place. And what do these cards do again? I don't remember genuinely. Dunnel. This gains 500 attack for each monster you control with a different name that mentions adventure token. This card is sent to the graveyard. You can target one adventure token you control. Equip this card to the target. This one does nothing. And then, what about these traps? Are those searchable? Add a monster. Oh yeah, I think it's searchable by relics here. Special summon this, set a trap that mentions adventure token directly from your deck. It's not a quick effect to summon though. Okay. What do these do? Special summon up to 2 monsters from your hand or graveyard with different names. Then you can equip one equip spell that mentions adventure token from your hand or graveyard to one monster you control. This is optional, right? Yeah. The special summons any 2 monsters actually, which is interesting a little bit. And then we have Thunder Discharge. Target one monster you control equipped with a card that mentions adventure token. Destroy as many monsters your opponent controls as possible with attack less than or equal to that monster. Then you can equip one equip spell that mentions adventure token from your hand or graveyard to one monster you control. Optional. Then we have some field spells. But what do these do again? Once per turn, when your adventure token destroys a monster by battle, you can draw one card. That's kind of whatever. Monsters you control equipped with Starlit Papillon are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. Interesting. Once per turn during your main phase, if the previous effect was activated this turn, you can add one field spell that mentions adventure token from your deck or graveyard to hand, except for Forest of Lost Flowers. So, what was the other card? Wait, what was this one? Curse of Aramesir? Special summon an adventure token to either field, then send one card from your hand to the graveyard. You cannot special summon monsters the turn you activate this effect except for adventure tokens and monsters that mention it. If a monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon one adventure token to either field. It seems like it could be used to really annoy your opponent by giving them tokens constantly. Well, okay. We have Dark Palace and Starlit Babylon here. Equip spell. Monsters your opponent control lose 500 attack for each monster you control with a different name that mentions adventure token. Okay. Wait, each card? No, each monster. Okay. Dark Palace? What does this do? When your adventure token destroys opponent's monster by battle, you inflict damage to your opponent equal to that destroyed monster's original attack. Oh, so we could use this to get past towers monsters actually. That's what the that's what this is for. Because we can give our opponent technically an adventure token and then run over it by battle and then burn with Zaralam. This is an optional effect, so you don't have to actually activate this. Okay. And it specifically adds to your hand. What's Tessia do? Add one spell that mentions an adventure token from your deck to your hand except a normal spell. You cannot special summon monsters when you activate this effect except for adventure tokens or monsters that mention it. Okay, I guess. But if we don't go too crazy with it, we can technically use Breath of Resurrection as like a kind of Monster Reborn type effect, which is kind of neat. I'm sure this could come up in some decks actually. And then this can be used as kind of removal. This can also be used as a normal summon, I suppose, because this is just a fairly big guy. But it can't attack unless you control an adventure token, actually. Well, whatever the case. The main usage is just with this package either way. That was worth reading and seeing what all of the cards did. So basically one of the equipped spells is attack gain, the other one is attack loss, and it does literally nothing else. And then the field spell, this one is to burn, this one is to draw. Both of these effects are soft once per turns, interestingly enough. So after that, we have these traps, which are fairly useful, and these effects, which are also fairly useful. So we have Draco back, Illegal Knight, and Wandering Griffin Rider. So with Wandering Griffin Rider, essentially, you can special summon this whenever. So if we were to be playing into Maxi, for example, so we go maybe Rite of Aramis here, activate this, our opponent chains Maxi, we can just pass turn on this after adding Griffin Rider with the effect of Faithful, and then next turn, during our opponent's main phase, we can special summon this from the hand to somewhat play around Maxi, potentially, depending on how our deck is built. Or we could grab a Legal Knight and do the same. Nothing really changes in those regards. And then there's also the option of just let's assume our opponent now has no Maxi. We can special summon Griffin Rider and then do a full combo of some sort and not have to worry about Nibiru or certain hand traps that might bother us because Wandering Griffin Rider is an Omni Negate. And then every follow-up turn, we can use Faithful Adventure to pitch a card, and then that allows us to add Griffin Rider, and we can special summon Griffin Rider and continually have an Omni Negate. It does require like kind of a maintenance cost with Faithful Adventure needing to send a card from your hand to the graveyard, but your draw for turn, technically you'll always have a card, if that makes sense, for Wandering Griffin Rider. Even if maybe it's not like the card you wanna necessarily discard, you do have the option to discard, I guess. So that's great. And then Draco back is actually pretty powerful. So it depends on exactly what you're playing, but Draco back has several really insane qualities to it. So first off, this equips from the graveyard whenever it is sent to the graveyard. It does not matter how. It just requires you to really control an adventure token, and then this equips itself to the adventure token. So this doesn't seem that insane, but then you realize this is actually just a hard once per turn effect, otherwise known as a once per turn. So it may be a hard once per turn, but this means during our opponent's turn, And also on our own turn, we can keep sending Draco back the Readable Dragon once per turn for essentially for free. So let's say if we're playing White Forest, we can send Draco back on, well, I don't know if you have anything that sends a spell on your opponent's turn. Do you? But we could technically do that. We could send it once on our turn, once on our opponent's turn, and then once on, I guess, our next turn. And we can just keep getting mileage at Draco back that way. So, for example, with Azumina Diabellstar, we could go ahead and send Draco back for just whatever on turn one. We could technically send it for Diabellstar. And it won't come back, but if we don't send it with Diabellstar, we can technically send it for Diabellstar on the next turn after we activate like um the Sinful Spoils trap that's like an Omni Negate. And then that will allow Diabellstar to special summon itself, Draco back will still reset itself, and then we can technically grab another Diabellstar or something next turn, send Draco back again. There's also like DPE to constantly pop Draco back every single turn after the first, and then it'll just keep resetting itself, and you do not risk your DPE being hit by like a Cult by the Grave, which is also pretty good, I guess. And then there's actually the aspect of a legal knight and Draco back, which is pretty interesting, where if you have a legal knight, you have the idea of a legal knight to bounce two of your opponent's cards, and then this gives control of a legal knight, which you can then bounce back to your hand with Draco back. So over the course of just 2 turns, you would be able to bounce your opponent's cards back 4 times, or 4 cards. Not 4 times, 2 times 4 cards. So yeah, that's pretty interesting as well. And because of the nature of this deck, your normal summon like doesn't matter that much, unless you're specifically doing a combo that requires your normal summon, because you can just do ones that only require your special summons. But this also opens up the idea of like Lava Golem or potentially a Sphere Mode to you do something like that. Normal or special summon Lava Golem, normal summon Sphere Mode, whatever, and then you bounce back to hand a Lava Golem. I think Sphere Mode might not be targetable. We'll see. Is this targetable? Your opponent cannot target this card for attacks or by card effects. Yeah, so this isn't targetable, but with Lava Golem, at least we could bounce back the Lava Golem and then tribute that, use that Lava Golem to tribute our opponent's field a second time, which is pretty nasty, I suppose. So that would be like Kaijuing 4 cards because you're playing the Adventure engine and you just have privilege, I guess. And for an engine that could possibly follow up this stuff, I guess like Fiendsmith is the easy one to play because everyone's played Fiendsmith, everyone knows how to play Fiendsmith. But there are actually other ideas you could definitely utilize to just special summon and make plays with. So let's see. We are no longer allowed to normal summon after we special summon, I guess, Lava Golem. So we could play, technically, I guess, Ishtira would be fine because they don't actually ever require you to normal summon. So Kashtira with Adventure and Lava Golem, that sounds perfectly fine. You have like Azumina stuff as well, which has okay synergy with, I guess, the Adventure stuff. So for example, we could Diabellstar, send Water Enchantress to then set up the Azumina Sinful Spoils card, and then tribute Diabellstar and whatnot, and special summon, I guess, a adventure token, get your adventure stuff set up. You have that idea. And of course, with how these cards work, they're actually fairly good going second as well. The main downside, honestly, is just that you have to run Fateful Adventure and Draco back, and that they're kind of mandatory and they're kind of like Garnets, but you can reduce it down, so it's not genuinely terrible. And if you want to see access to these cards more often, they're actually starters you can kind of run to help out with this a little bit. Like Special Summon Turret Top, add Takatomberg. Then we can link off for Cherubini, and that's one way we can do this. Another way is we could, let's see, we just need 2 level 3s, so you could use the Fam Knights cards to access this, I guess. But you have to be careful not to use a normal summon effect, which is a little weird, but it's something you can definitely do. So we have that. And then, yeah. Essentially, anyway, you can make Cherubini that allows you to send Water Enchantress, and then there's, of course, Foolish Burial to send Water Enchantress, and then Water Enchantress just being sent from your hand, it just gets stuff done, I guess. So being able to pitch Water Enchantress and then still have it add Rite of Aramasir later, that's also pretty good, just in general. It is somewhat better to Water Enchantress than Rite of Aramasir, unless your opponent has, I guess, Lancia, which the only thing that interacts with your deck is Lancia on, like, Water Enchantress effect, but this banishes itself for cost, so they have to preemptively hit you with a Lancia. But if you open a Rite of Aramasir, then you just don't care about Lancia at all, which is also worth mentioning that, I guess, as of currently, the the Fiendsmith cards plus the, I guess, Azumina and Diabellstar, those cards, they genuinely don't care about Lancia either, which allows you to play, if you want, all 3 of these kind of together in the same deck. That's just an option. And what else do we have? Let's see. So in terms of synergies, I guess we can't take control of our opponent's cards, but we do have, like, Ken and Gen that we could mess around with, which is a little bit interesting, I suppose. But I guess you would probably normal summon, like, Ken, so that, or Ken or Gen, and then that would prevent you from activating Rite of Aramasir. So clearly, not every deck can get away with using, I guess, the Adventure Engine still, which, I mean, it's kind of a good thing. Like, this is a generic engine, but I do also like the fact that it's not just splashable literally everywhere, like with Fiendsmith, where, cool, I make Moon, okay, Fiendsmith combo, it doesn't lock me at all, and it does not even necessarily require my special summon. I can make Moon. I can just link off my guy for the Link 1 Requiem, which I just added from basically thin air. Or I could normal summon it and then link off for Requiem because I don't have to activate its effect at all. So yeah, not like a super big fan of that, but I guess you could do that, right? So yeah, you have that, that kind of idea, and you can kind of just do that, I guess. So yeah. In terms of the Adventure Engine, there's probably other archetypes that I'm kind of forgetting that could still play well with it. But, you know, it's just still fine. Like, it's not like the most broken thing that's ever been created, I guess, but still a viable option, and maybe as a place in your deck too. Well, that depends on what you're playing and what your deck build is, if you have room for it or not, or if you're willing to make the adjustments for it. Because these cards, at the very least, are still decent. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.